Hey, what is up everyone? It is Swiper here. So before this video gets started, I want everyone to know who's interested that Donuts, Pedro, and I have started a Discord server that is open for anyone to join right now. The link for that will be in the description, so if that's something you're interested in, be sure to swing by and say hey. On the same note, I have reactivated my Twitter account, so if you aren't followed there, be sure to do that as well. So when I uploaded my video yesterday, I'll admit it was a lazy one. I just took a good game, edited out the beginning and the end, and uploaded it. Usually more work goes into an upload, but I've really been at a loss for what I want to upload since the only game I want to do content on right now isn't even out yet. That being said, after the 90-something views it got in only a day, which is awesome by the way, for me, for my channel, a small channel, that's pretty good. I figured I'd make another hunt video and put a little more effort into it. So, as promised, here is my in-depth breakdown of patch 1.0, which is the patch that took the Hunt Showdown out of beta and threw it into full release. So let's start off with the good, because I feel like that there is more of that and it'll be easier to talk about. The atmosphere in this game is exactly where it should be. It's a dark, rustic horror game with some serious BR overtones. And that will just about hit every genre of game and get about every genre of gamer hooked. It doesn't try too hard to be scary, and the jump scares that do happen, although they are seldom, feel natural, which is always something I look for in a horror game. If the jump scares feel forced, it's not a good horror game. In this game, they do not feel forced at all. It's almost like the jump scares aren't meant to be there, but they still get you, and I absolutely love that. The constant fear of not knowing when you're being tracked by another hunter and constantly having to weigh whether or not a zombie is worth killing is something that really helps send this point home. Because the AI is rather simple to deal with, it stands to reason that they aren't a major factor in whether or not a player should die. Obviously, you will die to the monsters in the game, but you shouldn't always have to worry about dying to them. They're pretty simple to deal with. 1 knife or 3 knives will usually take them down. They're really just an obstacle that stands in your way to get to your next clue or to get to your boss fight. What makes the AI so difficult to deal with, though, is the noise cue created when fighting a zombie. Opting to knife is obviously the best choice. When it comes to dealing with the pesky natives, knifing is about the only way to go unless you're really in a corner and you've got like 4 monsters attacking you. But even the death howl that they release is enough to alert even the newest hunter that someone is close by, giving them an obvious advantage when it comes to the first adrenaline-producing fight. Now, the reason that it gives them an advantage is because they hear you, they can get set up in an advantageous position, whether that be on a roof or in a window, and they can just wait for you. I can't tell you how many people I've killed in quick play because I hear them meleeing or shooting zombies, and I'm like, oh, well, I'm next to the clue. I'll just hang out next to the clue, and when they come in here, I'll kill them. It works like 99% of the time. It's crazy. So you really have to think when you're killing a zombie, like, do I want to kill this zombie, or do I want to avoid this zombie? Do I want to get in quick and quietly, or do I want to take my time, walk around the outside, scout my best route to the clue, and take that? It really adds a whole nother level of depth to this game, and I can't stress enough how much I like that. And there are AI in the game that you're encouraged to shoot to avoid damage. Talking specifically about the hive woman. I don't know her exact name. She has a hive growing out of her chest, and when she sees you, she sends wasps at you that poison you. When you're poisoned, you can't heal, so you're given the option to either shoot her from far away so she can't get her wasps or bees, whatever they are, on you, or avoid her completely. So you're forced to weigh the option of avoiding them altogether by going a longer path to your next clue, or opening fire and letting every hunter in the immediate area know exactly where you are. This decision-making process helps push that horror aspect even more because it can be stressful when deciding how to handle a certain enemy that stands in your path. The boss fights are, in one word, horrifying. Not only are you up against a monster that is faster, stronger, and just downright horrible looking, there's looking at you, spider, but unless you are seriously experienced hunter, capable of melee attacking one to death, which I've never seen anybody do, shooting them is your best option, and it's a lot faster. But by shooting them, you are allowed, which if I've learned anything while playing this game, the quieter you are, the better. People hear these shots, and they're naturally drawn to the PvP. So you always have to be on your toes when fighting a boss. But even then it's not over. Once a boss is defeated and you start the banishing process, every remaining hunter is alerted to your exact location. So even if no one comes to the sound of gunfire while you're fighting the boss, they will definitely start making their way towards you now, just adding that extra layer of stress over an already stressful event. And I, for one, love it. So now let's talk about the weapons. The weapons in this game fit the style really well. They're rustic and they're gritty, adding to the sense that you really are a hunter in the bayou. They aren't overpowered, but can do some really good damage in the hands of the right hunter, depending on the range and body part hit. Every body part on this game has its own multiplier. Every weapon has its own damage fall off multiplier, stuff like that. I personally had the most fun running a sniper or a shotgun while I played, just because I feel like with those weapons, you get the most bang for your buck. They're worth what you pay for them. Where the game really gets interesting are the tools and consumables. You have so many different loadouts you can make that the game really can be unique from match to match. Experimenting with different weapons, handguns, tools, and consumables really is one of my favorite parts of the game. It helps build that replayability that any good game needs to stay alive. Now let's talk about probably the best aspect of this game. Permadeath. Yep, this game has permadeath. From the start, you have the option to recruit 5 hunters, but your first one is always free. When you escape alive with your hunter, all the XP you earned that game is distributed to your hunter and your bloodline rank, which the bloodline is how you unlock more gear. But just because you escape doesn't mean you win. If all the bosses on the map are defeated and you find yourself limping to an exit empty-handed, fear not. That game wasn't for nothing. You still keep that hunter, all your gear, and some pretty sweet experience to take into the next hunt with. Once a hunter starts to gain levels, they unlock perk slots, which gives them an advantage over other hunters in the world around them. Some perks are more useful than others, but it's all personal preference. However, once the hunter that you spent hours leveling up dies, all the gear and that hunter are gone forever, which to me is just awesome. Permadeath is something a lot of games really shy away from, and I'm glad this one had the balls to use this mechanic. Without it, this game wouldn't be as great as it is. And you can look at that when you think about games like a game formerly known as World War Z and then changed to Infestation. They had permadeath, and I can't tell you how many hours I put into that game. Just the constant fear of knowing, like, if I lose this fight, if I lose this engagement, this hunter is gone. And depending on how high of a level and how the gear you have, like, that's a lot. Like, oh, I've got my favorite gun and I don't have enough money to buy it again on this hunter. Do I want to take this fight? They're shooting at me. I don't know where they are. Do I look for them or do I just try to get away? There are so many different levels of permadeath when you look at it. It really does make a game more enjoyable, albeit it can be frustrating when you lose a good hunter. But you got to keep that mindset of, it's just one hunter. I get another one for free. I can get back to where I was. And that's just going to make you better in the long run. So let's talk about the bad. I don't really have much for this category just because when I play a game, I try to look at the positives. Well, I mean, gaming is supposed to be fun, so why spend my time harping on all the bad shit I see when I'm really just trying to enjoy myself? But for the sake of the video, I did sit down and think out what I didn't enjoy while playing, and I think I've got a few things to talk about gameplay-wise and hardware-wise. First off, the game crashed about 20% of the time, and I don't know if this was an internet problem or a server-wise, but there were some times I'd find myself frustrated because Pedro and I would be mid-boss fight only to get kicked out with no error message telling us what happened. However, when this happens, you don't lose your hunter, and that's a huge improvement over the last time I played, because I specifically remember when you get DC'd from a game, you would lose your hunter, and that was probably more frustrating than it is now, but still, it's not fun to be in the middle of a game and then just randomly get kicked. It's not fun at all. So that was one negative, and that was one thing that I had already known I was going to talk about when it came to this video was the random DC, and hopefully they can get that figured out. I don't know what causes it. I'm not done any research into it. Maybe they already know and they're working on fixing it. That would be great, but that was one thing that just really got on my nerves. Something else that is just awkward to me, it's not necessarily a bad thing, it's more of a personal preference, is the gunplay. Sometimes I think it's just my aim being off and I'm missing, and others I feel like I'm missing shots I should have hit. And I know I'm going to get good scrub in the comments, and I admit sometimes that I just miss. But I think a large part of this is the 2-button ADS system. I'm a first-person shooter guy. I like holding right-click to aim and left-click to shoot. However, in this game, you have to hold right-click and another button to pull up your sights. I think the default is right-click to pull up hipfire and then shift to ADS. And of course, that's a mechanic that you get used to, but personally, I'm not a fan of it. More times than I'd like to admit, I'd be in a fight and try to hit fire with just clicking left click, and instead my hunter would try to melee, and I just didn't like that. It felt really awkward to me. After a couple of hours, I was able to get the hang of it, but still in those situations when muscle memory took over, I would find myself reverting back to the same thing I was doing, and that was, right click, left click, so I'm hip firing from 10 foot in front of me, which isn't the best way to play. And then I would have to stop, slow down, and be like, okay, I need to hit right click and then shift and then left click. And that just feels clunky to me. And I don't know if this was if this was something that they knew that they were going to do from the start, or something that they had to do because of the different things you can do in the button layout. But I feel like there should be an option for like old school FPS, right click to aim, left click to shoot, but that's just me. It's not something that I feel is game breaking. It's not going to make the game any less fun. It just makes it awkward for me personally. The UI in this game is pretty straightforward. I don't have anything negative or positive to say about it, but the menu is cluttered to me. There's a lot going on and it can be hard to follow. For example, you can see every single item in the game before you unlock it. All of it tells you what requirements you need to unlock. Some require, a bloodline level. Some require you to get experience with a certain weapon. And some require you to use an item so many times. Personally, I felt like that could have been laid out better. But that's just my opinion. It wasn't so much that I couldn't navigate or understand it. I just didn't like the way it looked. Overall, the game can be pretty overwhelming. Especially when you first start, the game can be overwhelming. And this is largely based on the amount of factors that go into every hunt. If you're new to the game and really want to learn the basics, I recommend checking out the YouTube channel 4FS Gaming. I found them to be the most informative channel on the game currently, and you can tell that they put a lot of effort into their tips videos, and I like that. I'll link their channel in the description, and make sure you go and check them out. If this is a game that you look forward to putting time into and you want to get better at it, check them out. They will help you. They have some really good tips on there. I wouldn't say this game is a must-buy, but if you enjoy horror-based games with a BR feel and a permadeath system that will knock your socks off, definitely pick this game up. It's more fun with friends, but that's just because random matchmaking is never as fun as playing with an actual friend. I'm not a huge fan of random matchmaking, but if you've got a friend that is interested, you should both pick it up. I think the game right now is $40. Maybe it's not worth that. Maybe wait till it goes on sale and then pick it up. But definitely, if you want this game, keep a lookout for those sales. If it's worth $40 to you, get it for $40. But you should pick this game up. It's not a game that you're going to be disappointed in. I can guarantee you that. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't enjoy it, I encourage you to give it a thumbs down and let me know in the comments what I could have done better, what I could have fixed about the video, so that next time you can give me a thumbs up. I really want that constructive criticism. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, and you can, please do that. We are 49 subs away from the goal of 800, and that would be such a huge achievement right before the launch of Modern Warfare. To have 800 subscribers going into that game would mean so much to me. So if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you never miss out on anything I upload. And as always, you guys stay awesome.